Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo. So your Golden State Warriors, they lost the final game of their 8-game homestand, 125-113 in their third straight loss. And, I'll be honest, after the last couple of losses before this one, you're looking for the silver lining, and there definitely is one. But man, this is another game. I think I described the last game as kind of meh, like the Warriors' effort is kind of meh. This one, they got Steph Curry back, which is fantastic. A lot of optimism with that. But the Warriors came out flat, plain and simple. They were playing against the Suns team that doesn't have Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson, a couple other dudes. And so it was pretty much just like a perfect setup for a letdown game, a trap game, whatever you want to call it. That combined with the fact that, guys have just come back. This is Steph's first game in like a month or so, and Wiggins' second game, and Andre Iguodala's first game in like 50 years, or second game in like 50 years. So that rust combined with the overall flatness combined with the letdown just turned into a really, really just ugly game, an ugly effort all around. And a lot has been made about the fact that Steve Kerr has hinted and mentioned that Draymond Green and Kevon Looney, that they're playing a lot of minutes and they're getting pretty worn down. And they kind of looked like it in this one. They looked a step slow against some of these Suns players who were basically playing with nothing to lose and playing for a job, right? So they looked a little gassed, and it was a perfect combination of things that allowed this Warriors team to just weirdly get steamrolled by a Phoenix Suns team led by our former Golden State Warriors favorite, Damian Lee, a guy who was a whipping boy for a lot of Warriors fans over the last couple of seasons. He's had a good season, a really good season shooting for the Suns. And down the stretch, he was the guy who hit the clutch free throws to ice the game. Been talking about how the Warriors are getting healthy, and this is a very, very good thing. And I don't want to lose sight of that, right? The game just ended. So like, it's kind of just like, I almost wish I could have fast forwarded to the end in real time, because I was just like, well, I think I know what I'm going to say about this one. Before the fourth quarter, I was like, hey, maybe the Warriors will suddenly just put together their most exciting quarter of the season and have an amazing comeback that sets the tone for the second half of their season coming up. And guess what? That did not happen. They made a couple of runs, actually, and they had a really, really good opportunity. They got it to within 6 with a couple minutes left, but Damian Lee hit all his free throws. There were some iffy foul calls, and the Warriors, they just didn't hit the shots, right? Steph had a few open shots. He hit a couple, but then he missed a bunch. Clay missed a few. Jordan Poole had a turnover, and all three of those dudes missed a free throw in the fourth, clutch free throws. So I want to take a step back and just look at where the Warriors are now at the end of the first half of the season. FYI, I'm going to do a mid-season check-in type episode with my buddy Aram in Toronto, where we kind of look back to the first half and look back to the preseason and what we expected to happen and where they are now and where we think the Warriors can go, where they need to go, et cetera, et cetera. So tune in for that this week. But at the midpoint, the Warriors are 20-21 after 41 games. And it's a shame. It's a shame, right? Because with this 8-game homestand, I allowed myself to, say like, hey, what if they end up 8-0? In that case, they would be, 5 games over 500. But they won the first 5, and then they lost the last 3. And these were all gettable games. So it's unfortunate. But in the longer view of things, if Steph is healthy, and he didn't look great tonight at times, but he hit a couple of tough shots and he looked like he was kind of getting into real game mode. He's only 8 for 22, 5 for 15 from three, played 31 minutes, 24 points and 3 assists. Obviously he'll get better. Wiggins, who was only 5 for 16, 0 for 4 from three. And remember, he was shooting like 40 something from three earlier before his injury. He played some tough defense. He had 6 steals, 2 assists, 5 boards, 2 blocks, 10 points. So even though he wasn't scoring, he was giving you something. And then Clay came back after missing a couple games, and he was 10 for 24, 6 for 14 from three, 29 points. Actually, Clay just missed one game. So all those guys will get better. I mean, if you look everywhere else around, though, Draymond Green, 1 for 5, Looney, 0 for 1, Anthony Lamb, 1 for 5, Dante DiVincenzo, 1 for 4, Ty Jerome, 2 for 3. Jordan Poole, he was quiet for most of the game, but then he came on towards the end, and, you thought that maybe they would have a chance, but they just didn't hit shots. They dug themselves so deep into a hole that they just couldn't bring themselves out. If maybe they weren't so rusty and out of rhythm and out of sync, then maybe they could have summoned it a little bit better. But a lot of those shots, a lot of those big shots that you would have normally expected to go in to hype up the crowd at home in the fourth quarter, they just didn't. A lot of those shots left their hands, and you're like, that's short. I think Steph missed short, and then the rebound went to Clay, and he barely, if at all, grazed the front rim and aired it out, perhaps. So it is what it is. And again, you just take this game. It sucks that it came 3 games in a row, right? But you take a step back. I'm just having some recency bias, so I'm trying to get away from that right now because the game just ended. But you take a step back, and I will say my favorite part of the game was seeing the starters, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Looney, and Draymond Green, all out there at the same time again. Plain and simple. I was just really, really happy to see that. And then to see Andre Iguodala be the first man off the bench as a 6th man. I think he was. I don't know if Poole came in first, but that's the way I remember it. Regardless, seeing those 5 dudes and then Andre come in, it kind of was like a reassuring feeling. I know we're not sure what Andre Iguodala could give. He was feisty. He got kicked out of this one for tossing the ball into the stands, and it wasn't even like a big throw. He was kind of just messing around, I think. He just kind of exasperated and just flipped it into the crowd, and he got ejected. But this team, they're not there yet, but they're getting healthy, and I think that's what I'm hanging my hat on and looking forward to the rest of the season, right? Steph, we know where he can be, how he's looked this season. We know he can get back there. Wiggins, hope, that's what I'm hoping for. I hope he can get back there. I've said that, he was in such a good rhythm to start the season, coming off the high of the playoffs and the finals, that I was worried that this layoff would affect his shot a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it comes back like in a week or so, because he was hitting everything. He was having career numbers in every category except for free throw shooting. So, if he can get back there, we're good to go. And now we have some reasonably dependable guys off the bench. Dante DiVincenzo, of course. Jonathan Kuminga, hopefully he gets healthy in the next couple games. They really, really missed him in this one. They missed his energy. They missed him playing power forward and small ball center off the bench, spelling Draymond and Looney. So he needs to get back. But, I'm confident in how they can continue to move forward. So the Warriors, they go out on the road. They have another couple days off. This whole stretch has given them a couple days off between a few games. And then they play in San Antonio. So you just go there and then you just start taking care of business again. They didn't take care of business in this one, the previous one, or the one before that. But hopefully they can start getting the guys who have just come back, start getting the rhythm, getting their legs back, all that jazz. And hopefully we can get, dudes like Jonathan Kuminga, my guy James Wiseman, and even JaMychal Green, whomever you want, just to spell Looney and Draymond if that's the case. And, some people are talking about how this is Kerr calling for a move to be made. I have no idea. I have no idea. Make a move, sure. That's something that my buddy Aaron and I are going to talk about in our mid-season episode coming up in a couple of days. But, I think that overall, despite the burn of this loss, now you've lost to the Suns 3 times, and the revenge, the run back that I was hoping Clay would get against the Suns after having 2 of his worst games, 2 most visibly disturbing games of the season because he was so out of sorts, and getting into arguments with Devin Booker and Mikal Bridges. And in this one, he couldn't even get back at Bridges for all that because the Warriors took the L. But, it is what it is. And I feel like I've said that a lot this season, but the Warriors in the mediocre West, they are still there. They can just still make a move. They just need to start stringing together some wins. And hopefully this road trip, there's some gettable games still at the top of this road trip. And hopefully they find what it is they need quickly to just, make the move and get going. I don't want to make too big of a deal of this game, even though it's now 3 losses in a row. But, just be glad that the Warriors are looking healthy and that, it's not going to be just Jordan Poole trying to win games at the end. And like the main thing you wanted to see is some of these newer guys, younger guys, get into a rhythm and get more, grow up a little bit, take more responsibility for this team. And I think we've seen that. And I'm hoping that that'll translate. Again, you need Kuminga back. You need Wiseman. You need JaMychal Green back. So we'll see where we go from there. Also, one quick announcement. I'm going to try doing my first mailbag episode. Now, in these YouTube comments, I get a lot of good, smart questions and comments from fellow Warriors fans. And I get into some really, really interesting conversations with, folks who have some really, really strong feelings on things. So if you have any questions for this mailbag episode, go to the community tab on the Oakland Warriors YouTube page, youtube.com/Oakland Warriors, and leave it there, or you can leave it at the bottom in the comments on this episode. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a question, leave it there, and I will do my best to discuss it, try to answer it, or whatever.